Now, no matter what style you get, you're going to use the same structure for your answer. And on the screen now is a template or a structure that you can use. And it's pretty straightforward. You begin by stating your main point. Use about 8 seconds for that. And just use something like, I agree with the idea that, or I think it's better to, or I think it's a great idea to, and simply finish the sentence. Next, you have a transition that runs for about 2 seconds. I feel this way for several reasons. Something like that. You don't have to use this word for word, but this is a general guideline you can try. And then after that, for 35 seconds, support your point. First, and then give your first reason. Maybe use a personal example to illustrate it. And then say, secondly, and give your second reason. I've left off the personal example because you might not have time to give a personal example for both of the reasons. Now, every year I put up this video and I get questions from students. They wonder, is it okay just to use one reason? And the answer is yes, that's totally fine. I think 2 reasons is best. And I think if you want like an absolute perfect score, you might want to use 2 reasons. But for most students, as long as your delivery is good and you've got a lot of different ideas and details, 1 reason is fine. And the template is pretty much the same. Just start by stating your main point. I didn't change anything here. I've left out the transition just to save a bit of time. And then you just support your point with the rest of your time. This is because, and give a reason. For instance, and give a personal example. And since you've got more seconds to work with here, I've added an extra line to the template as a result, and then give a long-term effect of your reason. And I'll give you a sample of that in case you want to know what I mean. All right, let's get to samples for each of the question types. First up, an agree-disagree style. And we're given the sentence, teachers should assign daily homework to students. Do we agree or disagree? Well, here's a sample answer. I start with the main point, right, just from the template. I agree with the idea that children should be given homework on a daily basis. I've got the transition from the template. I've got my first reason beginning with first. I've got my second reason beginning with secondly. Now, I won't read it all for you, but I do want to mention a few techniques I've used to kind of bring this to the next level. First up, I've ended this reason by mentioning a long-term effect. In the long run, this leads to a lot more academic success. Now, this is what I call making the answer persuasive. So, by adding a long-term benefit, I'm going to persuade the listener that my idea is a good one. I'm not just describing my idea. I'm not just describing what it means to do homework. I'm persuading with a long-term benefit that I've put at the end of the reason. This isn't mandatory. You don't have to do it for both of the reasons, but it is a technique that will bring your answer to the next level. I've also used the transitional phrase, for example. This is the kind of phrase that ETS really loves and the graders are absolutely looking for. For example, or for instance. And I've added another one here at the end, as a result. That's a key phrase. Things like as a result or moreover or in addition. These are absolutely phrases you need to use. This answer is 127 words. That's pretty long. That's about what I recommend if you're looking for an absolutely perfect score. So make that an ultimate target. You might not get there right away, but keep trying and get as close as you can. Okay, so a second sample answer, this time for the preference style. And this one asks, do you prefer to shop at a store that has a lot of different kinds of products or one that focuses on a single type of product? And I haven't got my answer here. I'm following the template. I think it is better to go to stores that focus on a single product. I've got my transition, I've got my first, and I've got my second. I've got for example as a transitional phrase. I've got to be more specific. That's another key transitional phrase. And I've got and as a result. Now, the other thing I've done here is I've used a few coordinating conjunctions like so and but. We use these to create compound sentences, and they make the grammar a little bit more sophisticated. And as far as the ETS automated scoring technology goes, I believe they also count as transitional phrases, themselves. So again, that's another technique to bring your answer to the next level, coordinating conjunctions. This answer came out to 136 words, which again is quite long, and you might not get there right away, but make that sort of a target for the long term as you continue to practice. All right, one last sample answer. This is for the good idea style, and it's about companies that don't let employees use personal cell phones. And the sample answer here has just one reason. Once again, it's using the template. I think it's a terrible idea for companies to tell workers that they can't use their phones. This is because, and I've got my reason. I'm using the transitions for instance and moreover. Oh, and also as a result. And as you can see at the end of the answer, I've got the long-term effect of the example. As a result, I am already looking for a new job, and the store will soon lose an experienced employee. This one came out to about 103 words. I think that's a bit on the short side, but I bet you can still get a score of like 25 or 26 points if your answer is 103 words. And by the way, I'm using the word counting feature in Microsoft Word. So as you're practicing, consider making transcripts of your answers and plugging them into Microsoft Word to get an idea of how many words you've put into your answer. All right, a few general tips and tricks. I know I'm repeating myself here, but these are the kind of things you're want to keep in mind as you're answering these questions. First up, try to avoid repeating words. Don't use the same words again and again and again throughout your answer. Again, as I said, use transitions like as a result or consequently, moreover, and therefore. Use coordinating conjunctions to link ideas. Use about 120 to 130 words for a top score. Avoid pauses and false starts and self-corrections. You want sentences that flow really smoothly. And as I said, you can use two reasons or one reason. Now, let's talk about the fun technical stuff. How are you graded? Well, first up, you're graded by one human scorer from ETS. And she's going to grade you on delivery, language use, and topic development. Now, delivery means how clearly you speak. Specifically, does the rater need to use any extra effort to understand you? If they have to really work hard to make out what you're saying, you're going to lose points. Delivery also refers to your pronunciation and your intonation, how smoothly your answer flows. Next up is language use. This is purely your grammatical correctness, the correct use of vocabulary, and the range and complexity of your vocabulary and grammar. Lastly is topic development. In the independent speaking question, this means, are you supporting your argument with appropriate examples and details? And are there connections between the reasons and the examples you've given? And apparently, these are all equal in value. Now, of course, there's going to be overlap, but apparently these all have equal value and they're all equally important. Now, as of 2019, there is also the speech rater technology. Now, that's an AI technology which grades your answers as well as the human. And it's basically checking 4 different areas. First up is your fluency. Once again, that's about your delivery and how clearly you speak. If you have a lot of pauses or you have a lot of unnatural pauses in the middle of your sentences, the AI is going to give you a low score for fluency. Next up is your pronunciation and your intonation. Again, that's pretty clear. Are you pronouncing your words like a native speaker? Do you have intonation which resembles a native speaker? If you do, you're going to get a high score in this area. Next up is your grammar. Basically, the speech rater is going to create a transcript of your answer, and it's going to check your grammar. If you've got a lot of mistakes, you're going to get a lower score. But if your grammar is really good, you'll get a high score in this part. Lastly is your vocabulary. Once again, it's going to check that transcript and look at the words you've used. If you've repeated the same words again and again, that might hurt your score. But if you're using a lot of different words, you'll get a better score. Also, it's going to check the complexity of your grammar. Whether you're using a lot of really easy short words, that might hurt you. But if you're using words that are a little bit less common or a little bit longer, you'll get a better score in the vocabulary section of the AI. Now, ETS is still a little bit secretive about how the speech rater works, but it is my impression that the human rater and the AI rater have equal value when your score is determined. That's about all for now, actually. If you have any questions about this video, please leave a comment down below, or you can check me out at TOEFLresources.com. At that site, you can find guides to every section of the test, and you can also sign up for my speaking and writing evaluation services. All right, I will leave it at that, but I look forward to all of your questions and comments. Take care, guys. I'll see you later.
For clear emails, confident messages.
Wait a second.
Because sometimes the kitchen.
Okay. So they have a speech rater, yeah, and it's secretive, but it just wants to see how fluent, how you use vocabulary, your grammar. So it's a lot of things that you need to consider for any type of test. The only difference, like the first lesson we had with the IELTS was a video that I showed you of the difference of TOEFL and IELTS. The only difference in speaking area is it's not recorded. Yeah, for IELTS, it's face to face. There is a person that will evaluate you, the examiner, and will try to make a scene of trust, okay, for you to just keep on speaking. The other thing about TOEFL is like this: they come with situations that you need to be quick and precise in your answers. So at the same level, both of the two tendencies you need to speak, and it's in the practice that you need to do. That's why I urge you, please, to speak. Okay, I have few students in class that try their best, and I really enjoy what they say. But the rest, I need to call your name. I think it's a level that you should be fighting over. Please, I want to say something. I want, because at home, do you practice with someone speaking? I really don't think so. Yeah, but if you do, good for you. But others don't have, and that's the problem when it's you're in the reality, and sometimes you don't know what to say because there have been a lack of practice. So it's your responsibility too. Okay, and all the tips, everything now is online. You can go search it, but all of them or most of them will agree with the advices, the guide. So one more time, the TOEFL is just guides, right? Guides to tell you this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't, this. Yeah, because it just evolves, evolves. Yeah. So I would like to ask you, which part of the TOEFL you would like to practice now, because you have an idea of everything, right? So I would like to know that. What part? Because I have to show you the writing also. Precisely the writing. Anybody?
Miss, a question.
Yes.
The writing of the TOEFL is similar to the IELTS?
I want to show you that. Yeah. This
Okay.
is new versions because most of them are, they give you tips, of course, but there are many. Yeah. Many. A ver. The one that I found is not so clear, but just a second. This will be it. Ay, tengo trito más rápido. ¿Cuál de los dos se llama? So maybe for most of you, it's no surprise. It's no surprise. Yeah, you can conquer this. It's not going to be hard, and that's what it's great, right? It's great, great, great. Yeah. Okay. Un ratito. Ay, un ratito, please. There's a lot of advertisement. Un ratito, please. It has a lot of advertisement. Okay, so let me show you this site that maybe will be clear for you to understand. Also, the name of the website is examword.com, TOEFL slash hyphen practice slash writing questions. Okay, so this is more specific. Yeah, there's a lot of things around. But if you hear TOEFL experience list, okay, so it just gives you ideas also, and TOEFL independent writing questions. Yeah, so there are many things to look at. This is our essays, view answer. This is one of the tips. A ver, let's read this. Independent writing questions. That means your own ideas on a paper or on screen, whatever you want to write. So it says the page is an online resource to help students prepare TOEFL independent writing, a short academic essay around 300 words. So academic essay is what is IELTS. Yeah? In addition to collection recent TOEFL essay questions and topics, we are also link some of them with sample answers. These writing questions are from test takers and other public resources. It's a short list, but maintained weekly. This page just keeps the latest 20 questions. The early ones are moved to there. Yeah. So this is an essay. It was written the 21st of August. The question was, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? In 20 years, there will be fewer cars in use than there are today. So the keywords here are environment, technology, agree, disagree, tested on, thumbs. This is the answer of this essay. This is an opened. Lo que hemos visto with the text that you have is structures of writing. Yeah. There's no answer yet for this. Oh man, nos han tomado el pelo, chicos. Ya, pero si ustedes quieren escribir, no problem, me van a revisar. View answer no hay. Uno de más. A ver, any. A ver, from May. I think there is. Tested on. So there are answers. Some charitable organizations allow people who give money to charity to choose how their donations will be used. If you were to give money to charity, would you prefer to choose how your donation is going to be used? Or do you think it is more effective to leave that decision to the organization and why? Okay. So we have these answers. Let's see. These are the samples. The question, there's no answers. ¿Por qué? Boy, they're just ideas. Bueno. Bueno. But those are essays. Yeah? Son independent writing. So there's situations, current affairs, o sea, lo actual. Yeah? Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree? Yeah, and these are TOEFL experience list. Writing tests, types, and topics. Esto creo que mejor nos interesa. Then we have word spelling for writing tests, integrated writing questions, and independent writing questions. Now, let's see the first one. Hay muchos, pero ¿para qué vamos a ver el del pasado? It's better to do it now. So they give you tips for reading, for listening, for writing. There's a method que estaba buscando. It's really interesting that you hear. Yeah, you can hear a problem about maybe the environment. And with that information, you need to put your own words and say what you think. That's why it's a recommendation for writing. After listening, you can remove your headphones, todo eso, porque les da una ways of think. Yeah? For reading, chicos, no pensé que iba a ser así. It's really, I really don't, it's a bit hard. Yeah? Writing free practice sample. Esta es otra página that it's called Mometrix. Yeah. Always there is a lot of studying guide, but we don't have a clear answer for Mr. Franklin. And it's a wonderful question because we need to be precise. That's why the manuals that you see, o sea, te dejan con un poquito más de y quiero más. Yeah. So, a ver, it says. There are tips. Your response should be between 150 to 25 words, although exceeding this amount is acceptable, so long as the question is answered effectively. That's a good thing. They're flexible. This is the first one. See, the first tag is the integrated writing task, in which you will read a short excerpt from a university level text and then listen to a lecture corresponding to the text. Por eso, es eso. Primero tienen que leer a short excerpt from university and then you're going to listen to a lecture. Yeah, ¿qué se llama? Como un seminario. Lecture corresponding to the text. So there's a connection between them. You must then write a response to a question asking about the main idea and how the two sources of information relate. So you have to be careful with the writing and the listening. Por eso no encuentro that example. Your response should be between 150 to 225 words, although exceeding, yes, that is the first one. So let's remember, it's Mometrix, that you will read the text, university level text, and you will listen to a lecture. And you need to get all the information on what they try to transmit for the question. Yeah, you need to relate the information. That's the first task. The second writing task is the independent writing test. Is what we saw, right? That there wasn't any question, answered, but the questions were there. That is an independent writing test, which requires you to answer a question based upon your own personal experience. This may be asking if you agree or disagree with a statement and what reason you have to think. You have for thinking. So responses for the independent writing task should be at least 300 words. Although exceeding this amount is acceptable so long as the question is answered effectively. Yeah, so if you mislead, o sea, si llevan por otros lados, they won't take it. Ya se ha ido por Júpiter. So this is the following reading passage and audio lecture clip are used to complete the writing test. So this is the aquí, bueno, está más o menos completo aquí. Ya, entonces lo voy a disminuir un poquito ahí. Okay, you can read it, right? So this is the reading. Read it in silence. Yeah, and then we're gonna hear. Aquí está su listening for the writing question. Yeah, por fin. Voy a poner una estrellita aquí porque es para perder páginas de number one. Okay, so please try this one. Read it. When you finish, everybody finishes, we're going to play to understand better the topic. Okay, please read in silence. We only have 10 minutes. Yet, don't worry, we're going to continue. But read it clearly and then we're going to listen. Okay. One more minute, okay, for you to read. All right. You finished reading, right, everybody? Now let's listen.
The effects of social networking come with far too many risks. Many consumers are targeted with phishing schemes that steal their money or even their identity. And these risks don't exist only for adults, but also for children who are targeted for bullying and manipulation. Children can easily pick up deficits from becoming too reliant on social media for communication. And people these days already have a lack of social skills from looking at screens each day, and this has already made a clear impact on family systems in America. A new study by sociologists at Duke University and the University of Arizona adds more grist to this mill, noting that Americans in 2004 had smaller networks of people with whom they talk about matters important to them than they did in 1985. In 1985, the average American had 3 close confidants. In 2004, we averaged only 2. The number of Americans who had no one with whom to talk about important matters almost doubled in 2004 to over 25%. Increasingly, most confidants are family. In 2004, 80% of people talked only to family about important matters, and about 9% depended totally on their spouse. This decrease in confidence is in part a result of the same trend that's leaving fewer people knowing their neighbors or participating in social clubs or public affairs than in the past. We know a lot of people, but we don't know them very well. Left to our own devices and cultural trends, then, we seem to be moving in an unpleasant direction. Communities are formed ad hoc around specific shared individual interests. This wouldn't be bad, of course, except that those communities seem to exist only within the constraints of those shared interests, and they don't develop into close and meaningful relationships. The transient and specific nature of many of our relationships today can keep us socially busy without building the lasting relationships and communities that we want.
All right. So that is the listening. At this video, you will find integrated uh, and integrated writing task sample answer with answer explanation, right? So it says, describe the risk discussed in the lecture and explain how they relate to the purpose of the reading passage. So that is the main question. This is the answer. You can check it. We have 4 minutes. You don't wanna hear me. So right now, in 2 minutes, read all this. That this is an answer. Do it now. Read it based on the question, of course. Hmm, okay. And this is the guy explanation, answer explanation. This answer is a good response because it addresses the question directly. The first paragraph describes the lecture as requested, and the second paragraph describes the reading passage, so that the final paragraph can make good comparisons. The main purpose of each passage is given, and it's explained how the two sections disagree completely on the outcome of the topic. Grammar is also a consideration in the grading of this section. When responding, make sure you're using good grammar while also making sure to answer exactly what the question is asking. And that is the end. This is I didn't see this one before. And you have also guides and flashcards. So I encourage you to, even if you graduate, continue practice. We have a lot of material. All right. So tomorrow we're gonna do a quiz, an easy quiz of TOEFL. I think we've seen so many things, and let's see how we do it tomorrow. Okay. Maybe it will be writing, maybe reading, the listening. I don't know if I could find it. So be ready. Be ready. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Miss. Bye,
Bye.
me.
Bye.
Bye, Miss.
Bye.